Texas is about to have a very significant disaster.
I have issued a request for a presidential disaster declaration.
The issue will be, once it makes landfall, it's just going to sit.
Just hover for a long period of time.
I'm not sticking around here.
We've shopped, we've got water in the bathtub.
We're out of generators, we're out of water, and we're out of sand.
Be prepared now for the next 4 to 5 days.
I don't know if we're going to come back to a home or what damage we're coming home to, and so it's sad, it's scary.
Hurricane Harvey barreling toward Texas. 8 million people are under a hurricane warning right now as Harvey starts to make landfall. This storm could be the strongest to hit the U.S. in 12 years, dumping as much as 3 feet of rain in some areas.
We have live team coverage tonight from all across Texas. We're monitoring the coast and the effects the storm will have on us right here in Central Texas.
We go first to Chief Meteorologist Chicago Windler. The storm is just hours from landfall now.
And that's exactly the way things are looking. Check this well-defined circulation out. The center of circulation only about 30 miles away from the coast. And look at those outer rain bands. Corpus Christi and the Barrier Islands are just getting pounded, not only with winds up to hurricane force, but also that strong gusty rain. And you can see that here's the center of the eye of this major Category 3 storm, packing 125-mile-per-hour winds. To be a Category 4, 130. So this is a high-end Category 3 storm. The last time we had a major Category 3 hit the United States, Wilma, back in Florida in 2005. It's working its way toward the north and west, and though the official forecast track is for it to slow down a bit and make landfall during the overnight, it would not at all surprise me if it keeps on moving only 30 miles away from Port Aransas, which could give us a landfall within a matter of a few hours. Now, folks in Austin, out through the hill country, you've got some rain around too. You may be wondering, is this associated with Harvey? Absolutely. These are some of the far outer rain bands. Folks in the hill country, Granite Shoals 508 for you, Sunrise Beach about 515. Nothing severe here, but this will continue to cycle through. Plan on lulls and then pickups of rain bands as they move through. Now, we will start to see things turn even more ominous through the upcoming weekend when that circulation gets closest to us. Here's the official track, and you can see with the storm moving northwest at 10 right now, 125-mile-per-hour winds. It's likely to make landfall as a Category 3 major hurricane, pull up north as a Cat 1, then weaken to a tropical storm, do a loop-de-loop and potentially come back out in the Gulf before making a second landfall. This is a terrible scenario for folks along and south of I-10, points to the coast. For Austin, it depends on where you live. Now, ahead in your CBS Austin 7-day, I'll go through the latest rain totals. We have tropical storm watches and flash flood watches in place, tropical storm warnings, I should say. I'll let you know what to plan for where you are given the latest track.
You can see those bands, and it's really starting to hammer the coast, Hema.
Governor Greg Abbott is asking the president for a disaster declaration. He warns Hurricane Harvey is going to be a very major disaster.
It's a hurricane that's going to prove more dangerous than many hurricanes. Not only are we going to be dealing with the high winds that typically come with what should be a Category 3 hurricane, but we are going to be dealing with immense, really record-setting flooding.
President Trump will visit Texas early next week.
The coast is already seeing high winds and rain. CBS Austin's Jordan Bonke is live there for us right now. Jordan, those conditions really have worsened over the past few hours, really getting hammered there now.
Yeah, you're not kidding. They really are continuing to intensify, and you're starting to see debris like this up and down streets throughout Corpus Christi. Take a look just down the street. You can see some of the debris from those palm trees just around that Holiday Inn bus, and it's already starting to cause property damage. Take a look at this just across the street from our hotel. You can look up on the roof, and those shingles are starting to fly right off that roof here. Today was the point of no return for the folks here in Corpus Christi. They had to decide whether it was time to evacuate or it was time to weather at this storm. For those planning to stay, they only had until 9:30 this morning to get all the groceries they need and hunker down.
There's like lines everywhere. There's nothing left.
It's a madhouse in there right now.
Roel Garcia was 12 years old when he survived Hurricane Celia, a storm he says that turned Corpus Christi into a wasteland.
We were without power for about a month, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time.
For those trying to leave town, like Sina and her 5-year-old son, the uncertainty of not knowing what they'll return to is unsettling.
It's my first experience and I don't like it.
All bags underneath the bus?
Between yesterday and today, the city evacuated about 900 people from Corpus Christi to a shelter in San Antonio. Many traveling were elderly, low income, or those with functional needs.
We were staying at a motel and then they told us we had to evacuate.
And at an afternoon press conference, the city stood behind their decision to not implement a mandatory evacuation after talking with emergency management. Police said if conditions get too unsafe, they will stop responding. And the county judge knows how painful the aftermath can be without power.
The greatest asset that they can have for the next 3 or 4 days is patience.
Now we're going to hunker down for a long night. We're expecting this thing to make an intense landfall late tonight, early tomorrow morning. We're live tonight in Corpus Christi. Jordan Bonke, CBS Austin News.
Thanks for that report, but be safe, Jordan. A live shot now from Galveston, where the city's mayor called a voluntary evacuation for the Boulevard Peninsula. On Galveston Island, those west of the seawall are urged to evacuate, and beaches in Galveston are also closed right now. Mayor James Yarborough says a big concern is the high tide tomorrow morning, coupled with the flooding.
In Port Lavaca, they are under a mandatory evacuation order. Wind and rain are picking up there right now. Emily Baucom is there as the conditions get more serious.
Hurricane Harvey inching ever closer to Port Lavaca. The city is under a mandatory evacuation order and a curfew to not hit the streets. I am standing on a balcony that is 17 feet high. The storm surge is expected to come all the way up to the top of this balcony, about 10 to 12 feet high. If we turn around and show you the ocean right now, that storm wall is the only thing keeping the Gulf of Mexico back, and it's only 10 feet high. So that storm surge of 10 to 12 feet, you can see how the water is just almost close to topping that storm wall. We're keeping our eye on things. For now, reporting from Port Lavaca, I'm Emily Baucom.
The line was out the door today for Red Cross volunteers. The Central Texas chapter issued an urgent request for shelter workers and managers yesterday. They held last-minute training today for first-time volunteers. The last session wrapped up just a few minutes ago. Thousands of people are coming through Austin right now as they try to get away from this storm. Here's a live look along 183 right now. Austin is setting up shelters for evacuees who are heading this way. CBS Austin's Courtney Shoneman is live now at the Delco Center. That's one of 2 shelters that's open right now, Courtney.
Yeah, the American Red Cross started accepting its first round of evacuees this afternoon. Right now, we're told the number of people inside the Delco Center here is relatively low, but they only expect that number to rise as the day gets later and more people make their way into Central Texas from some of these coastal cities. Right now, the Delco Center and LBJ Lhasa are the only 2 shelters open, and this is specifically for Gulf Coast evacuees. If these shelters reach capacity, the Red Cross will open more as needed. They gave us a look inside the Delco Center, which is essentially a big gymnasium. So the Red Cross is encouraging people to come with some personal items like pillows and blankets if possible. But volunteers are prepared to help with anything evacuees need, including basic medical care. The Red Cross says it is prepared to shelter people for as long as they need. As far as local shelters go, none of those have opened up for people here in Austin yet. They're going to wait and see what the rain totals are and how the flood levels are impacted before that happens. We'll be sure to update you here on CBS Austin. For now, live from the Delco Center, Courtney Shoneman, CBS Austin News.
Thanks, Courtney. Flood victims, prepare for more rain.
The extra steps people in Hays County are taking to keep themselves safe 2 years after a devastating flood.
And Hurricane Harvey is just hours away from making landfall on the Texas coast. This is a live shot right now as we track Harvey. We'll continue to give you the latest updates on this intensifying storm. We are tracking Hurricane Harvey right now. We're taking a live look as the hurricane starts to hit the Gulf Coast. We're just hours now from the landfall. Out in Galveston, they are moving cruise ships away from the area to keep them safe. We have crews all over the coast right now.
Hays County is now included in the area under a tropical storm warning. And right now, Texas State University is shutting down ahead of the storm. All classes and student events are canceled through the weekend. CBS Austin's Fred Cantu is live in Hays County, where San Marcos is preparing for the wet weekend ahead. Fred?
Yeah, and Hayes County actually donated the sand for this grassroots project behind me, making sandbags for the community. The Hayes County area is no stranger to bad weather. They bounced back from 2 floods back in 2015, but they still look over their shoulder whenever there's bad weather in the forecast.
Today we caught victims from the 2015 floods making sandbags to keep any rising water from Harvey out of their homes. But the city warns residents, because of the tropical storm warning, they also need to prepare for high winds.
We also want to remind people to do things like secure things outside your house, because when we have a wind event, there's a potential for projectiles. So you want to make sure that if you have trash cans outside, your bikes, kids' toys, that you secure all of that, put it away so that it doesn't become a projectile during high winds.
And also remember, if the lights do go out during the storms, they have to wait for those winds to die down before it's safe for the repair crews to be sent out. And homeowners aren't the only ones worried about potential flooding. Businesses downtown also worried about that. We'll hear from them on CBS Austin News at 6:30. We're live in San Marcos. Fred Cantu, CBS Austin News.
Thanks, Fred. Austinites are hunkering down.
Yeah, the mad rush on last-minute shopping and getting supplies. What stores are doing what they can to try to meet the demand?
And Harvey is just below Category 4 strength, a strong Category 3. Look at that eye as the storm continues making its trek toward the coastline. We've got the latest landfall stats as well as rain totals here in the Austin area. Ahead in your CBS Austin 7-day.
We are still tracking Hurricane Harvey right now. This is a live look from our crew in Corpus Christi, where you can see the rain is coming down and the winds are getting dangerous. You're looking at the roof of a hotel across the street where you can see a patch in the roof there. That's where the shingles are coming up because of those heavy winds. Dangerous conditions in Corpus Christi right now.
Those gusts really ripping that roof apart. It's an image we've seen over and over again on social media today. Crowded supermarkets and empty store shelves. Several stores in Austin have run out of water as a mad rush comes in preparation for Hurricane Harvey. CBS Austin's Adela Uchida is live in Northwest Austin tonight. And Adela, the stores are really just trying to meet demand here.
They really are. Well, there's a definite run on bottled water right here in Austin as Harvey nears landfall along the Gulf Coast. Now, it's pretty hectic at the H-E-B on 41st, where trucks arrive with more water every 2 hours or so. That store has a 4-case limit per customer. Most customers picked up a few other staples, too.
Dog food, first of all, and got some bottled water and some munchies, some chips and bread and things like that.
And there's
a little beer.
We also checked in at a Randall's on the northwest side. Randall's does not have a limit on how much bottled water you can buy. The shelves were full when we got there, but people are stocking up and new shipments do arrive pretty quickly and pretty regularly at Randall's as well. And don't forget one more thing, that you can always fill up containers at home with fresh tap water as well. Live in Northwest Austin, Adela Uchida, CBS Austin News.
And a weather alert is in effect as we are waiting for landfall. This is a live picture from Corpus Christi. Clearly, you can see those waves and the wind already in some spots reaching tropical storm to hurricane strength. As for the official track from the National Hurricane Center, right now the center of circulation is about 30 miles offshore, anticipated to continue to work its way, making landfall possibly in the next few hours, or perhaps slowing up and waiting until overnight tonight. Once it pushes on shore, it weakens to a Category 1 storm just to the west of Victoria. Then the official track takes it on a little loop-de-loop as it makes its way back out into the Gulf, which is not a good situation, because then you've got more storm surge from those winds coming in off the water, and then all the way out toward the Houston area as we head toward midweek on Wednesday. There's actually one computer model that keeps Harvey in the Lone Star State all the way until, get this, a week from tomorrow, September the 2nd. We hope that's not the scenario. That would mean even more rain. As for us, with the current forecast track, Austin area, points north and west, should be pretty okay. Anywhere south and east could be in trouble. Look at this amazing presentation here. As you can see, that eye wall already working its way off toward the north and west. Along the northern and western fringes is where some of the heaviest rain bands are. And they have been pushing right on shore, so definitely a difficult situation there. On the other hand, we're seeing to a much lesser extent some rain bands wrapping around through here in central Texas. Fredericksburg, you have a couple of storms pulling through, 519 for you. LBJ Municipal Park right around 526. And as we head toward Kerrville, right around 608. So nothing severe in our area yet. Despite that, I want you to be on guard. We're going to see rain bands and wind pushing through the next 2 straight days. Category 3, 125-mile-per-hour maximum sustained winds moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. The storm has winds that are spanning all the way north toward Austin. So I anticipate by this time tomorrow, we will be dealing with the brunt of our winds. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for Hays, Caldwell, Bastrop, as well as Fayette counties, where we could see some wind gusts as high as perhaps 60 miles per hour. At the same time, Blanco County points east, including the Austin Metro, under a flash flood watch. That one is in effect until 7 a.m. on Monday. Let's take a look at the wind speeds. Here's our future track computer model, 7 p.m. Breezy, yes, but nothing too bad through the evening hours tonight. Heading toward tomorrow, look at this as the circulation kind of comes all the way around our area. The worst of the winds likely tomorrow night. We could see some gusts, especially close to I-10 in that 50, maybe 60 mile per hour range. Either way, it's going to be breezy everywhere. Now let's walk you through the timeline on the rain. Here's midnight tonight. Those rain bands pulling from Fayette County up north. Bastrop, Giddings, you get some of it by 7 a.m. tomorrow. Then as we head toward midday, heavy rain. Williamson County, Travis County, Hays, points off to the east. All of these rain bands cycling around that center of circulation heading toward 4 o'clock tomorrow. 8 o'clock, it's a good thing Pride decided to cancel because it would have been miserable. Then on into Saturday morning, Sunday morning, I should say, not as heavy. However, Saturday's the day that we get to saturation. Sunday's the day that any additional rain could cause some possible flooding issues. Keep that in mind. As for how much rain we could see, very impressive totals. 10 inches in Austin, 19 in LaGrange, 22 in Giddings. But look at this, perhaps as little as less than an inch for folks in the far western hill country. 2 days of weather alerts, 2 days where highs may not make it out of the 70s. We're still going to go with some low chances of rain because the path of Harvey could keep it bringing us possible moisture all the way through next week. Temperatures will be rebounding, but the biggest concerns for us in the Austin area will be tropical storm force winds possible late tomorrow, as well as possible flash flooding conditions. Austin points to the south for tomorrow night and on into Sunday.
Critical patients evacuated.
Yeah, they didn't want to take any chances. The extra help a local hospital is offering for at-risk babies forced to leave the coast.
We are still tracking Hurricane Harvey. We have another live look out. This is Galveston right now, where you can see the coastline there. A lot of rain coming down and those winds really picking up as this storm moves in.
Hurricane Harvey could cause gas prices to rise across the U.S. Dozens of refineries have been shut down along the Gulf Coast. Some refineries are expected to shut down until the storm passes, possibly disrupting gasoline supplies. Prices have already risen by about 5 cents a gallon. Back in 2005, Hurricane Katrina caused a 40-cent jump overnight.
7 NICU babies were brought to Central Texas overnight. The patients were transferred from Driscoll Children's Hospital in Corpus Christi. 10 babies were also taken to a hospital in Fort Worth. The babies will remain at Dell Children's Medical Center until it's safe for them to return home.
Pride events have been canceled in Austin this weekend. The parade was scheduled for Saturday night. The annual event stretches up South Congress, but organizers say the safety of the guests is a top priority. The parade has been rescheduled for September 16th. The festival will be on October 21st. 20,000 people were trapped in cruise ships in the Gulf, so they had to go to New Orleans, and now we're just a couple hours away from landfall.
Absolutely. Potentially, it could be within the next few hours. The official National Hurricane Center forecast has it coming in just after midnight. We'll wait and see. It's a strong Category 3 hurricane making landfall. Our biggest impacts, weather alerts both tomorrow and Sunday, with highs only in the 70s. Tropical storm force wind gusts expected. There could be some minor power outages. There also could be some flooding. spring, so just keep in mind. In Austin, I'd say anywhere between about 6 and 12 inches. Farther to the east, it looks like a much worse situation.
We're going to have special coverage of Harvey throughout the weekend. We will have a special edition of CBS Austin this morning, tomorrow and Sunday from 6 to 8 a.m. We'll also be sending you alerts all weekend with our CBS Austin weather app.